Long before cybercrime was a hot topic and the internet was routine, a teenager stood up to the system. Kevin Mitnick didn't use brute force or write revolutionary malware. His weapon? The human mind. Mitnick was a master of social engineering. He got people to give up secrets without realizing it. His skills worked everywhere, from payphones to high-security government networks. He didn't just hack computers, he hacked people. By the time he was 16, he had already broken into the North American Air Defense Command. At 20, he was cloning cell phones and tapping into corporate servers. By the early 90s, he was on the run, ghosting through America's phone systems. FBI agents always one step behind. The media painted him as a digital terrorist. The government called him the most dangerous hacker in America.
Kevin Mitnick was probably the world's most...
Attorney General Janet Reno is putting cyber vandals on notice.
But the real story? It's more complex and far more fascinating. This is the rise, fall, and redemption of Kevin Mitnick. A story about a teenager with curiosity and charm who became the symbol of America's cyber fears. Join us as we look at the hacks, the cat and mouse games, and the legacy of a man. He showed that the weakest link in any system is still the human. Welcome to Cybercrime History. Please subscribe or get scammed. Kevin Mitnick was born in 1963 in Van Nuys, California. From a young age, he was obsessed with figuring out how things worked. But he wasn't taking apart toys, he was exploring phone systems. At only 12, he found a way to ride the Los Angeles bus for free. He did this by collecting unused transfer slips. This wasn't just play, it was the birth of a mindset, understanding systems to bend them. At 16, Mitnick found a world known as phone phreaking. In this realm, tech-savvy rebels used tones and tricks to exploit phone networks. This community taught him about social engineering.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate the help. I mean, it could be a stupid thing. I'm really...
It's the art of tricking people into sharing information. Kevin didn't need to break in when someone would just give him the keys. He called the phone company and pretended to be a technician. Then, he talked his way into getting system manuals and passwords. Soon, curiosity turned into a thrill. He started accessing mainframes. This included a well-known breach of Digital Equipment Corporation's systems. But his goal wasn't to steal money or cause chaos. It was knowledge, challenge, and proving he could do it. The FBI was struggling to catch up with this new kind of criminal. In the late 70s and early 80s, laws hadn't caught up to the digital age. Kevin was shaping a career that would earn him fame and infamy in cybersecurity. By the early 1980s, Kevin Mitnick's hacking reputation was growing fast. His most notorious target was Digital Equipment Corporation, DEC. It was a leading tech firm during the era. Mitnick infiltrated their computer network and copied proprietary software. He didn't sell it, and he didn't profit from it. But the intrusion caused waves in the tech community. It was this attack that finally brought law enforcement down on him. In 1988, the federal agents arrested Kevin. He received a year in prison. After that, he had 3 years of supervised release. The experience was a wake-up call, but not the kind most people expected. Instead of deterring him, it made him more cautious and more elusive. His probation kept him from using computers or phones without permission. He found this rule stifling. Mitnick saw computers not as tools, but as extensions of himself. The restriction felt like cutting off his oxygen, but Kevin couldn't stay away. Soon after his supervised release, he went back to hacking underground. This time, he took a more stealthy approach. No flashy intrusions, no obvious footprints. He became a ghost in the wild. He moved through corporate and government systems without anyone seeing it. This act started a manhunt that made him a legend. He became the most wanted hacker in the world. Mitnick took precautions while the FBI was watching. He used fake names, disposable phones, and cloned cell phone codes. He wanted to avoid detection. He didn't just hide, he taunted. With his strong knowledge of telecommunications, he tracked law enforcement chatter. This way, he stayed one step ahead of those searching for him. This wasn't just evasion, it was psychological warfare. He played games, mocked their efforts, and vanished before raids could happen. Mitnick moved across the country, never staying in one place too long. He rented under fake names, used payphones, and avoided digital footprints. It was an old-school strategy for a digital fugitive. He boldly hacked into Pacific Bell's voicemail. Then, he left messages acting like law enforcement. He deceived Motorola and got sensitive source codes for mobile phones. Mitnick wasn't after money, he was after secrets, puzzles, and control. To the media, he was becoming a myth. To the government, a growing embarrassment. They couldn't catch a man who didn't seem to want anything tangible, just the thrill of proving he could beat them. Every move left clues, and the FBI gathered them quietly. Kevin was getting ready for his biggest challenge yet. He planned to hack the hacker, which would lead to his downfall. Kevin Mitnick obsessed over breaking into top systems. This obsession brought him to Tsutomu Shimomura. Shimomura is a well-known cybersecurity expert. He works at the San Diego Supercomputer Center. Mitnick was curious about Shimomura's security protocols, so he broke into his systems and stole files along with personal emails. It was a bold move, and for once, Kevin underestimated his target. Shimomura took it personally. Unlike the FBI, who followed procedures and warrants, Shimomura went on the offensive. He joined forces with federal agents. They used advanced tracking methods to trace the digital footprints of Mitnick. They started to close in. They used call tracing, radio triangulation, and watched network activity in real time. Shimomura's technical expertise gave the investigators a sharper edge. They soon found Mitnick in Raleigh, North Carolina. He was living under an alias and renting a small apartment. On February 15, 1995, the chase ended. The FBI stormed his apartment and finally arrested Kevin Mitnick. They took computers, many cloned cell phones, and documents. These documents showed access to systems like Pacific Bell and Motorola. The arrest was a turning point, not just for Kevin, but for cybersecurity awareness in America. It marked the moment hacking moved from underground lore to mainstream fear. And Mitnick's legacy was now split. Criminal to some, legend to others. Kevin's arrest lit a media firestorm. News outlets branded him the most dangerous hacker in America. Stories swirled that he could start a nuclear war by whistling into a payphone. The truth? Far less dramatic. But the myth had already taken on a life of its own. The prosecution played into the hysteria. They claimed Kevin accessed sensitive systems and cloned cell phones. They said he was a threat to national security. The courtroom wasn't just about law, it was about optics. The judge even denied him access to a phone in jail, fearing he could launch missiles with a dial tone. Kevin, meanwhile, claimed he never intended to harm anyone. He didn't profit from his intrusions. No ransomware demands, no stolen bank accounts, just digital trespassing and curiosity. But the damage was done. Companies worried their security was at risk, so the government had to make an example of him. After years of legal battles and plea negotiations, Mitnick agreed to a deal. In 1999, he pleaded guilty to several counts of wire fraud and computer fraud. He was sentenced to 46 months in prison, plus 22 months for violating his previous parole. When he was finally released, he stepped into a changed world. There, he discovered an unexpected second act. When Kevin Mitnick walked out of prison in 2000, the digital world was booming. The internet was now part of daily life. Because of this, cybersecurity has grown into a billion-dollar industry. But for Mitnick, there were still restrictions. He couldn't use a computer without supervision. They labeled him a felon, a risk. But Kevin had changed. He'd served his time. And now he wanted to use his powers for good. Finally, the rules changed, and he started sharing his story publicly. audiences were fascinated, not just by the hacks, but by the psychology behind them. In 2002, he published The Art of Deception, a book that broke down how social engineering worked. It became a bestseller. Kevin launched his cybersecurity firm, Mitnick Security. Now, he consults for Fortune 500 companies. The same techniques he once used to break in, he now uses to protect. He got a job as Chief Hacking Officer at KnowBe4. It's one of the biggest security awareness firms in the world. Mitnick wasn't just rehabilitated, he became a trusted voice in cybersecurity. From corporate boardrooms to college campuses, he was a living legend. Kevin's second act showed that even the most notorious hackers can find a new path. His change from outlaw to expert shows that redemption is possible and powerful. Kevin Mitnick's story became a blueprint for modern cybersecurity. He was more than a hacker, he was a pioneer in understanding the human element of cybercrime. His actions showed a key lesson. No matter how advanced technology is, people remain the weakest link. Mitnick helped shape the way companies think about digital security. First-hand knowledge led companies to focus on security training, phishing simulations, and boosting employee awareness. His life became a cautionary tale and a guidebook rolled into one. He also changed how the public viewed hackers. Before Mitnick, hackers were seen as digital vandals or dangerous criminals. But his charisma, intelligence, and eventual redemption helped humanize the archetype. Kevin proved that hackers can be smart and curious, not just destructive. Hollywood took notice too. His life inspired books, movies, and documentaries. But the real Kevin remained focused on education and awareness. He spoke at conferences and led workshops. He also warned governments about new cyber threats ahead. When he passed away in 2023 from cancer, tributes poured in from around the world. Hackers, IT pros, and security experts see him as a key figure in cybersecurity culture. His legacy lived on, not just in code or headlines, but in the new generation of ethical hackers he inspired. Kevin Mitnick didn't just change the game, he rewrote the rules. Kevin Mitnick's biggest talent wasn't technical, it lay behind the headlines, the exploits, and the FBI manhunt. It was psychological. Social engineering was his signature move, exploiting trust instead of code. He could easily charm a secretary into resetting a password. He could also persuade a technician to share internal systems during a phone call. That made him far more dangerous and far more effective than any virus or brute force attack. Mitnick's techniques exposed a blind spot in corporate security. Most companies were guarding against external threats, firewalls, antivirus software, and secure logins. But they weren't ready for an insider voice who simply asked the right questions. Kevin showed that all it took to breach a system was confidence and the illusion of authority. This revolutionized how we view cybersecurity. The threat wasn't just code, it was human behavior. Today, social engineering training is a must for cyber defense in most big companies. Kevin found flaws that led to phishing simulations, red team exercises, and awareness programs. As technology grew, Mitnick's lessons stayed true. People can be the easiest door to open or the best defense. The Art of Deception was no longer just a book title. It was a foundational principle in cybersecurity playbooks worldwide. Kevin Mitnick's journey wasn't just about technology, it was about transformation. He started as a curious teenager in Southern California. Then, he became the face of America's digital paranoia. Now, he is a respected leader in cybersecurity. His life is a reminder that talent, when misdirected, can make headlines. But when redirected, it can change the world. Mitnick showed us that hacking isn't just about destruction, it can also be about innovation, education, and redemption. You might see him as a villain or a visionary. Yet, one fact stands out. Kevin Mitnick changed how we view cyber threats and the people behind them. As threats continue to evolve, so too must our understanding. Kevin's story proves that it's not always the strongest firewall or the best antivirus that protects us. It's about being aware, being watchful, and grasping how others think. If you enjoyed this story as much as we did, please like, share, and subscribe to Cybercrime History. Join us for more amazing tales of hackers, breaches, and digital legends that have shaped our world. Watch the next video. It will blow your mind about the history of cybersecurity.